G'day, how you going? Ianapolis here, acrylic guru from Australia. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Before I get started, I want to put the size of the canvas up there. It's 19.5 inches by 17 inches. A bit of a different size because it's the offcut of my canvas roll. And this is going to be advanced beginners painting, so it's going to have more detail and a bit more pizzazz in there. I'll also get the colours that I'm using going up the screen. And I do want to thank Francesco Ungaro. Thank you very much there. Now I want to show you the reference I'm using, and if you're an advanced beginner and you're progressing into the advanced from a beginner stage where it's time where your inner self is telling you, listen, I need to up the ante, I'm going to show you, just from my point of view, what I see, how I lay it out, and how I'm going to get those colours onto my canvas and how I can get the detail into that painting. It's quite easy when you know how. So get on over here and I'll show you what I've got on the canvas. So I've drawn out the top of me water lake, a bit of a sandbank here, and I've pretty much just mapped in roughly the areas of the rock to give me some kind of guide. Now you as an advanced beginner might need to do this, or you might not have to. I'm just doing it for the sake of the tutorial, and we're going to have a sky up there. Have a look at the picture that I'm going to use. Now I want to show you advanced beginners, or you beginners that feel like you're ready to take the leap. See, there's a lot of stones here. Look at the water. There's the rocks. Now, believe it or not, in my opinion, you get all these color values in the bottom. I'm going to show you as I go along in this tutorial, and then we're going to make up the detail with simply the lighter values. Same with this waterfall and all this beautiful green moss over these rocks here. Now look at the sky. I'm going to start with the sky. Copy it exact, or just do your sky. I'm going to do a bluey sky with some clouds, probably not a big glare of clouds like that though, because we've got blue values in the water here. So have a look at what's complementing, what's reflecting, to keep the colour value similar within the painting. So down on the canvas I've got me sky colours, which is the craft white to prime in the sky to get some beautiful blending done in acrylics. I'm going to use some retarder to slow down the drying time of that paint. That in there. I've also got cerulean blue, some mid-tone grey and some permanent alizarin just to get some real values within the clouds. So firstly I just want to get this craft paint mixed with the retarder so as I can get some beautiful action in my sky. I've got the craft white and the retarder mixed together so as I can simply map in my sky. I'm going to use this putter on a brush because it does it in big leaps and bounds. I'm not fluffing around all day. So roughly where I've got my rocks. So now I want to stroke that left and right just like a pure gentleman like that. Okay, and now we can quickly put the sky colours in. See, that paint is on there, it's wet, but I've got a window to do all the other colours because I know my climate. So I want to get the sky colour on there now. Just by wiping the craft white out of me putter on a brush, I want to pick up the cerulean blue on both sides of the brush. Start at the top and work your way down to the horizon line area. Because starting at the top, giving it darker value, creates the atmosphere in the sky. That part of the sky is further away than the top half because it's a sphere, so that's why that is more lighter in value. There's more atmosphere between you and the horizon line of the sky, because the sky, you're there, the sky's like that, you're here. This bit of the sky is closer to you than there. Simple terms, but that's how I look at it. I'm for realistic looks in this painting. Now I'm just going to pick up some of the craft white on me putter on a brush just to, let's say, lighten this a bit more because it's not quite, there we go, you can see the difference now. That is a lot lighter than the top part of the sky. Now we can put our real colours in there with the clouds. I'm going to grab a flat brush, pull out some of the grey and a little bit of me red permanent alizarin. You can even get away with red violet for this tone. And I want to simply put this in the bottom of the sky where I'm going to put me clouds. So I'm just going to start there, putting it on and letting it fade up. Not too high, no more than a third, anything under than a third. Bring it right down. I've just used this flat brush. Okay, now I want to keep that colour because that can be the colour within our clouds. I'll simply Rest that brush over there. I want to grab my fan brush to create some clouds, so I'm going to simply just grab a fan brush and some good titanium white out the tube, and then simply work out where you want your clouds. How do you want your clouds? What sort of clouds? It's up to you. Don't get lost in the reference picture trying to copy it exact. If it's got a sky and clouds, put your sky and your clouds. So what I might do is just put some soft misty stuff up here, right? Something like this, something different. Watch this. Got a bit of a thickness body of it there. I'm flipping around, but my brush is going to tell me when it's enough. Now grab yourself a blending brush, and like I said, I want these soft, so I'm going to softly blend them out. They're kind of like a cirrus cloud. They're way up high. It's a warm sunny day here, or it's a beautiful sunny day, whichever day you want to look at it. There we go. Beautiful simple clouds, and we're going to slowly bring them down. There is that kind of behaviour in the reference picture. That's why I've done that way, but I've done it my way. And I might want to put something, where are we? Right in the guts from about here. And I want to flip this on. See what I'm doing? I've got white paint here and contaminated paint there, so I'm trying to deliberately get that white paint on, because if you just stick with the tip, you're just going to start mashing in the bluey white colours together, and you'll be wondering like, what's kind of going on here? It's such a big learning procedure with any kind of art, clouds, topics, whatever. I'm going to blend this now from there. Blend. Some of this can have some light weather in it. That's why I kept those other colours there of the grey and the magenta. Bit of bright value there. Stop. Look what's on the brush. Quite a lot of business.
There is a lot of business on that brush, Ian. A lot of business.
That's right, little buddy. And you need to be aware of that as you're blending, so you can control your blending.
Now, Ian, what do you mean by controlling your blending?
Well, what I mean is I'm controlling. See here, I wanted it light. When I was blending here, I had a lot on my brush. I wiped it off, and I'm controlling my blending by not putting more white over here. I want it less white.
Oh, right. You the man, Ian. You the man.
Well, some people like to think so, but I just enjoy art. Now we'll put something down here in this atmospheric area of the sky. So I've picked up some more white paint, and I say, that rocks are there somewhere. I want to come along, stamp it on, get it on this grey area, and I'll just get something in the atmosphere, something I can blend down. I like to do these kind of longish. I can get some busy bits there. Just try and create a naturified cloud. It just makes its own shape up as you're stamping along. Don't try and think too much. Same procedure again. Just simply look at that cloud, blend it the way you want. I'm going to stamp it on. Now if you're an advanced beginner, you should pretty much have a grasp on how you like to do your clouds. I like to flick them off with a tail sometimes. I'm just going to condition the top the way I want it first, with some just tickling it a little bit. Get that mashed out there like so. And now that bottom, because it's in the atmosphere, I like to bring it down to there. And that grey value's added a different looking cloud than the one above it. Now I always like to put something in front of that to set it back. I've just got another cleaner, smaller fan brush. And let's say from here, I'll come here, boom. And I want to create this here, coming out there somewhere like that. The rocks are probably going to be there, but I'm painting it anyway. Same procedure. Keep that top bright, so it's going to sit the one in front of it behind. Tickle those tops to a cloud shape that you like. See, I'm not happy the way the brush did it, so I'm manipulating it. And now, turmoil, twist, dance, tap, and tease that paint into the sky colour there like so. Then all we're going to do is add some simple weather into those clouds. I like to call it weather, just so as it's got real values in there. And you will see how the sky's taken shape. So grabbing that colour, I just want a little bit in the top clouds, just to create more effort, more realism in your painting. But won't worry about that. I want to try and get some bits of, see here, where I feel there might be bits of grey, maybe some at the base of it here. Now don't do too much at a time. I've got an idea how much of a window I've got, but if you're not, just do a bit at a time. Grab that, and I want to sit that grey down and up within that cloud body, just so as we've got some kind of dimension, thickness, weather, different values, giving it a more realistic look. Play with it, take your time, there's no rush to do a painting, remember that. We all can get trapped in trying to do it real quick. You can see how that has given those clouds a bit of realism. Maybe here I'll get a bit more darker on this one, just there. I'll probably use this brush, wipe it off there, just to blend it into that cloud a little bit, not too much. There we go. How's that looking in my monitor? Careful, it's still very wet. That's not bad, and I'll probably do a little bit in this one just to see how it's going to work. So I'm grabbing the corner of my brush. I want it darker than that, so that's what I'm trying to achieve here. A little bit there, something there like so. And just use the brush to sort of sweep it into your cloud a bit. And there we have some decent realistic clouds in our sky. Now I'm going to dry it so I can start blocking in the next section of the rocks, the cliff face, the stones and all that. So the darker colour in my reference, I'm just going to use that. I'm going to mix up my black and burn umber for that. It might be a tad different in shade, it probably got some grey in there, but that's what I'm going to mix up just to block in all this dark mass. Now if you want, you can simply sketch in your area of outline where you might have painted over it with your sky. I've done that. And I want to mix up the burnt umber with black, so I want to pull the black into the burnt umber. This pile's just going to be my big blocking in pile. In the photo, these are reasonably close, so they don't have to be blurry, they can be sharp. I'm just letting the edge make itself up with the brush. I'm not looking at the painting right now, I mean the reference picture right now. I'm just making up my rocks as I go. Bang, that's done. And I'll block this in. Okay, just get rid of any stop-start strokes out of your blocking in, and that can be dried as well already. Now I've got the rock colour there, I've got some grey, the mid-tone grey. I want to mix this, because in the reference picture I can see the rock colour has grey values in it, so that's what I'm making now, just with a smaller brush. I'll get it a bit wet as well, and I want to mix up this colour here to get those values. And I want to sort of get rocks behind, rocks in front, rocks with a bit of a top surface there, rocks with a side surface there. With my layout, I want to try and create that aspect as well. So before I start, my horizon line is, I'm just going to just roughly put that in so I don't lose it. It's a bit of an arc there, it's mainly flat there, and that middle rock was somewhere about here to there, and it had somewhere, so I'm just going to try and get that back in there like so. And then this ridge pretty much goes all the way up there. I'm just going to dot it in like so, not thinking too much, and it's probably going to come to that point there, because this has a bit of a top surface there, so I want to try and get this to create that surface. You might have to, this darker colour, you might have to come back with that as well and play with it. So it's kind of gravelly, sharp rock face. So I'm going to try and, I like that way it looks within the reference. So I want to try and get that within here as well. And I'm going to try and get this to come around similar to in the reference picture. And pretty much along here, it's kind of feathering out. There will be a bit of build up you might have to do, like coming back with your lights, back with your darks, until it's the marriage you're happy with. Gingerly, very little bits in this rock here. So I'm going to play with that, roughly where the water's going to come around as well. On the top of your rock there. I'm just sort of glancing at the reference a little bit just to get some kind of, as it says, reference, because that's what it is. It's just a reference picture. Getting some of that value there. Might not see much of that, but we'll see how we go. Same here. This is kind of coming down the rock face. Little bits of scattering here with light from the sky up above. That's a rock all on his own there. Try not to do, see I did that line there, I know water's going to cover it up, but don't do too many lines in there because nature has no lines. From there, scratch that back in a bit more. This rock here has quite a bit of a face on it, so it's going to come in front of that from about down here. There we go. That's this rock because that's something behind. And I want to get this grey face here, so I'm just sort of referencing from the picture again, like I said. I don't have too much on my brush. Govern what you need on your brush. If you've got too much on there, you're going to create some mishaps. Right up there. Careful not to dig that soft bit under your sky, over your sky. What's on the edge? There's bits on the edge too. I'm just looking. I don't want to go into the sky and make snot of it. Be careful of that. Little bits might be fascinating in here. Little bits which I could see. There's a lot of green moss in here. Now here I do want to get rid of that line that I put there. So I want to kind of bring this back. So we've gone backwards and forwards throughout our painting here, just adding this value there. This here can come right in front of that, so get a bit hitting that edge and bring it all the way down to set that other bit of rock back. See how we just did that? Bits up there. I want to start with the water blocking in, so I've got me bluey turquoise and those other colours on the palette. So we'll get this roughly in a straight line about there, and it's coming about there, and it's going to fade about there. So I'm just going to map in, block in this turquoisey colour, really dark turquoisey colour you want. Block it in to about, look at the reference for referencing and just govern how far you need this blocked in. Believe it or not, all the little border highlights and that is what's going to make everything come into fruition. Now we'll pick up the other colour up here and finish blocking it in around about here to that turquoisey colour. Try not to get rid of too much of that turquoise. This will be a nice big painting here, so if someone wants to purchase this quality painting, you're more than welcome to message me on Facebook. Links in the description below, or you can email me on my community page. You'll see my email. It's still a bit wet. I haven't dried anything because I do want to get that turquoise a bit lively. So what I'm going to do is just simply drop this brush like a gentleman.
A pure gentleman, Ian. You're a pure gentleman.
Okay, like a pure gentleman. I'll pick up some white in another flat brush, come right across into that turquoise just to lighten it up a bit against there. There we go. Bit more. I might need to stamp it on like this and then brush it in, because when you stamp it on like this you got more control. And just lightly get that value of water in there. Get it level and straight, that'll do. Now I've grabbed this colour again, and in the reference picture I can see some stones sort of jutting up here, so I'm just going to put the blocking in value for them there at the moment. Over this corner we've got like a stone, what would you say, a stone bank, so I'm going to put the colour here for the reference coming along there, and we've also got some of it in the water here, not too much. I can come back with a darker colour to adjust that if you go too bright. Set that back down again if I went too bright, see there? But what we're doing, we're looking at the reference, we're getting the values that are there. Now what I'm doing over here, I've got the darker colour, more on the black side. I've just got a round brush and I'm kind of giving that rock vibe, trying to just throw in some dark areas where I feel all this lighter value needs it. So when I highlight them, they're not going to look floating. They're going to kind of suit the painting, have a sense of realism. So I'm just doing this here and there over those stone pebbled areas, and add the lights back if you put too much dark in. But that's what I'm doing. So from a distance, it's going to look like stones laying in the water. I will grab some of this dark colour as well, just to kind of put back where I feel I might have lost a lot of the dark. So along the horizon line here, where this big stone is meeting the water, it's pretty dark there and scratching up into that rock body. You don't want all white under there or bright colours, because it's going to have the water in front of it. And you can use this brush that you're using here, this thing here, to get your bands of darks where you feel you need them. So I'm pretty much coming along this bit here and scratching up the style of the rock. It's sort of a scratchy rock. You saw it in the reference picture there. Where this rock's meeting the water, I've got it dark right at the water where it's kissing the water, and I want to scratch and vibrate that darker value up into this rock, trying to create dimension and whatnot. And like I said, it's a matter of going backwards and forwards, adding darks, adding lights, and till you fine tune everything to the way you're happy with. It's going to meet some darks and lights together. So I'm making kind of layers of it the way it is in the reference. If you leave these darks out, you will notice it in your painting that something's going to look amiss. We do have more darkness radiating from the edge into this rock, so it's creating a round curved surface. It's just not a flat rock. Sometimes you can get caught, let's say you got a knife, you might put a rock on and you're just putting everything on willy-nilly, and it could be going a bit flat looking. You want to try, if you can, learn when you know you can, how to put curves and shapes backwards and forwards from each other. And when we highlight it, like I said, bring some into there as well. When we highlight it, like I said, it's going to bring the magic into your art. Darkness in here I want, so I'm just adding the darknesses again. I just had a glance at the reference and I'm putting them in. Got a nice dark bit scratching up here from behind this rock. Something there scratching up. Just going by the reference. Nice dark bit coming up here somewhere. I've got to try and create that green, and we need that to be sitting on something. Scratch it out, scratch it out. What I've noticed in the reference, there's slight, over here, there's a slight darkness within the blue, so I'm just going to allow for that. So I'm just putting there, bring some of that reflection into there, down, so that'll make up for the reflection. And I've been putting some scattered darker areas in the water as well, as it is in the reference. Okay, going back to this colour, I'm going to go back again now. Like I said, we're fine tuning stuff, bringing stuff into this darker colour. Not too much, coming all the way down. And then the colour we're using, we can just simply add a bit more white to brighten it up, switching it around, making that bullnose effect that I'm trying to get here on this part of the rock. Just gravelly, scratchy. See here, I'll grab some of the craft white and put into that now. Right, pick up some of that craft white and put into that mix just here, just so we can get some gingerly brighter values of it. A lot of it off the brush. Where are we? I want this bull nose nice and brighter. Let's see if it's gonna... I'll do a bit and look in my monitor just to see how it's faring over this bullnosy area. Get rid of those even blobs. And I want to kind of get a bit lighter coming up here. Just go to the reference, have a look. Where's some real bright bits? Yeah, there's a lot cascading down here. Right against that edge. Scratch it in where the light's hitting it. We're going to just simply go over the whole thing, looking for our brighter values. Scratching them in. There is the odd light bits within this waterfall area that's going to be brighter. Get some down here. Hopefully they look like pebbles or stones down here. And over this side where we did the other stones on the water there on the edge, we'll want to brighten up some of these now. Work out a brush movement that's going to help you create that look. I'm going to give it a dot but a bit of a pull so it's distorting the dot into not being a dot. Working, I've got to see spits here, a little band of them coming here as well. And then we just simply detail over all this and it's just going to look beautiful. Now I've got a softer round, pretty much that grey that we had, a bit of that paint mixed with it, but more on the grey side. And I want to use that now to create my more deliberate pebbles in the foreground. So over here, look at the ref, oh yeah, we've got a bit out there. So I'm just going to create these now, leaving the darks where they are. The more fine you get, bits and bobs like this in a realistic painting style that you're going for, the more realistic vibe you can get within that painting. Now see, these are going to be, don't have them all side by side, have some of them on top of each other, see, like that? Because when we add the darker and the lighter values, that's what makes the realism within the painting. Hopefully, I'm just using, this brush is softer. Scatter some loose ones out into the water. Very little loose ones. Rocks here. A little bank of rocks here somewhere in the middle. Now I'm deliberately leaving some darks in the middle of these. The littler the strokes, the more patience you have with the painting, the more advanced they look and the more realistic you can get out of them. That's what I found in my art journey. And over here along the bank, like I said, I wanted to get some within there as well, some little pebbles within the water, little ones sticking out in the water, a big bank of them here. You would be painting on a table, sitting down, it'll be a lot more comfortable than having this camera shoved on top of your shoulder right over you where you've got to bend backwards and try and get in there. Grabbing some white just on that colour, more white, because I want the slightest lighter values within some of those rock areas. So like there, oh, get off the brush, just little bits, scratchy. I want that white edge right against that black edge there, coming down. Little bits. See, the finer they are, oh my goodness, they really work. Some up here. that bull nose of this ridge of rock here I want kind of brighter. Just subtle bits here and there. Now what I want to do after this, I'm going to start mixing up that luscious green colour they got going there. Okay, I did a bit off camera just so you can see the difference from this side to the left side of where I'm painting. See here, I've just got pure black, and certain rocks I'm just finding and getting my brush and shadowing underneath some of them and putting some shadow rocks on their own there. Just like that. And what that does is kind of separate them from being a painted rock to more of a realistic looking stone or rock within there. If you can see what's happening there. Get all those little rocks, you feel that you're out there, and shadow underneath them. Fan it out into the water a bit. Feather it out into the water a bit. See what's going to work for you. Those ones look a bit more real now. They're not just like a blob. They've kind of got like realism to them. I mean, they're not really realism, but it's given you that vibe of realism.
Yeah, you need that vibe, don't you, Ian? That vibe of realism.
Well, if you can capture it, little buddy, it's always good. Now on the palette here, I've got Viridian Green, and I'm mixing it with Cadmium Yellow Medium to get that nice, vibrant, lusty green they got in the reference picture. I love it. It looks good, so I want to try and replicate that. I'll start from up here. Let's say here there's a little bit just on top there. I want to get it real scratchy and get this in the dark bits. Take your time. Use the edge of the brush as well as the foot of the brush, the base of the brush, whatever. I want this stuff growing up the rock like it is there, and it's sort of coming around and up. It's really climbing up this wall here, and we can use this colour in a long way the way it is in the reference picture and kind of come up here. We've got veins of it overlapping those bright bits. And you want it nice, and see how I've got it scratchy and hairy looking? That's the way it is in the reference, and it's the way we want to try and capture it in your painting. Not big, thick, hard blobs. Otherwise, you just got to find the darker value and strengthen those darker values back in. Just going along here, looking for bits. The darkness will come up there. So the way you shape these lines that you're stamping on with this is pretty much going to give you the shape of your rocks as well. It'll help people identify what way the rocks are going. And just over this bit that I've put on here, I'll just show you a little bit. I'll add a little bit more yellow to this mix just to highlight, get some of this really lustful. I'll show you. Grab a bit of yellow over here, more yellow in it, just with what's in your brush is probably plenty. I just want to do a little bit. Little bits and bobs. Really light, look how light I'm pressing now. Right on the edge there. And we're getting some nicer highlighted values of that green on top of there. Not everywhere, because in the reference it's not everywhere, so I don't want to do it everywhere in here either. I want it to make sense. We're doing this before we add the watercolour on. We're using the reference to find out on, say, something like this, where our darks are. This is coming right against the edge of it. We've got nice pockets of dark within it, and it's sort of on that long fingery look coming down here to behind there. There we go, and we're coming around here. got nice chunks of green forming in here, coming up from this lighter area of the rock. So it's coming from there and up into our rock. Let some of it trace up here. I want to get them in as well, just so you can see. Probably a lot more of this green value that I'll put on off camera, but I'll do what I can. Some of this in the dark bits there. Nice bit right there. Beautiful, like green moss wet looking stuff, isn't it? There we go, there. And some scattering through here as well, I could see. Down within all this, the odd little bit down there, and that's just coming over from that side. All the way down. So I've got to find the edge of that rock and bring it from there. Let's grab Malcolm so I don't ruin my work.
What's Malcolm, Ian? I thought I was your friend.
No, Malcolm's me mouse stick, what I've got my hand leaning on here.
Oh, okay, mouse stick.
Yeah, I call it Malcolm. I'll give things names like I've named you, little buddy.
I thought my mum named me little buddy Ian.
No, you don't have a mum, mate, I'm sorry to tell you, but yeah, I called you little buddy. Because you're my little buddy. Just getting bits in here. Just gingerly cascading from there. A little bit from there coming over that bow or that bull nose there. Some behind that waterfall there. I was nearly ready to paint the waterfall in, but it's not ready yet. That'll be the last bit, probably. Bits of green down here. Green is so nice. Cresting up there. Some bits you can rub on like this because it's sort of like, it's thick enough to be like its own mat of lawn. And that's going to come up there. We've got a nice, another bit coming down here. Just moss everywhere. Beautiful moss, isn't it? Eh? Nice, wet, and makes you feel at one with your painting, I feel. Up here, everything happening now from the very top and start lacing it down throughout the rock. I'm using the reference to get this bit going, so I want it kind of down, coming up and around there, so I'm taking advantage of the reference picture to get this vibe to look the way I'm trying to get it. You can see how the blacks that we put on before are coming into play with everything. Everything starts matching up, and that's how easy it is to start advancing your art journey. Okay, you can finish putting this colour on where you're happy with. Now we're going to grab this colour again and add the yellow like we did over here. I'll grab a new pile. So we're pretty much going to grab the yellow, cadmium yellow medium now with what's in the brush. So we want to look at the reference and just get an idea roughly where our highlighted areas are. Put too much of this, it's going to kill the vibe of it all. So I'll just show you here. I'm just glancing at my reference, looking over and working out where the little highlighted bits are. There's a lot of vibrant, brighter bits here. If your previous paint's still wet, give it a bit of a dry.
so as this will sit on top. Right. Now this rock here, dry, this rock here has light hitting the top of it, so we're using this colour to create the light hitting different parts of the rock. Like so, there, leaving it dark underneath. Bit scattering up there. Scratch it in where you can. Fine detail, like I said before. Oh, look at that, I went crazy there. I'll have to fix that up, so what I'll do, grab a flat brush, just simply grabbing a darker colour, and I'm going to just simply ubulate that back. When it dries, I'll scratch that green back over it again. See how easy it is to fix a mistake? And tops of this, over the darker green. Be sure to check out the Join tab, become a member of my community on my YouTube page. You get badges and emojis and little perks. Check out what you get. There's not enough light hitting this. I want some of this with some light hitting it as well. Scalloping in here and there over those dark greens. I'm just finishing it off with the slightest more yellow within that colour. Just here and there, just glancing over at the reference and seeing where it's a little bit more yellowy than others. Just putting those reference tones there, values there. And I just feel it's giving it more of the vibe of being real looking. When someone looks at it, they're going to like it. Coming down that ridge. Kind of liney looking ones in there. Pretty much we've gone backwards and forwards with the brown and the lighter values of the brown, and the same with the green. Now we're going to add our water to this rock. I want to use this brush here to get the water on my waterfall. So I've got down here some titanium white, and I want to taint it. You can taint it with the littlest bit of your turquoise or your blue, whatever. I want scratchy bits on the canvas. I'll wipe some of this off for a start just to see. I want to look at my reference and get an idea where we've got our water. So we've got some nice, where's it coming down? Glushing down there, something around there, and it's filling up. Where's that dark bit? It's coming here, and I'm just leaving dark bits within it, scratching it down, and that's coming down to about here, there. Get your line there, and then I want to, this edge here, it's all broken up. We're detailing water now. We're not just going to do a line with a fan brush. We want to put some charisma in our water if we can. So I'm getting the motion of that happening there. Very bright here with a lot of thick water, so I'm doing that. putting it on with some pull marks. And we can use a detail brush to get some really finer water going on as well. Now hopefully in the camera, I just had a look, it does look it, I don't have to hope. This looks white, but in real life it's like very light powder blue. Now this water's gushing down there, and we'll marry it into the lake down below. We've got bits at the top streaming from the rock, and then bits are coming down on their own like this. It's up to you how wild you make it. Try not to get too carried away. Don't just get a reference from the reference picture again, and it's going to come just beyond the base of that. See how we're getting like rock waterfall, like there's all water up here and it's backwards and forwards, scalloping. I'm trying to make diamond shapes here just to make sense of that, because we're trying to get detailed, realistic painting here, don't forget, that's our aim. And we're going to come from here, I'll get the edge done here. The edge can have a little bit of a bit there, bits falling down there, very lightly does it. And look how fun it is to do water. We want some nice dark areas in it. I want a nice thick bit here the way it is. See this dark bit we indicated in our shadows before? We want to keep that within the waterfall. So we're going to come here, bring a nice brighter value there. Just keep working it with this round brush. And then you can gingerly, I've wiped all the paint off the brush, that bit there, I'm going to slightly continue that down here. I'll do this at the end, but I'm doing it now for sake, just because we're going to put detail on top of that water as well, because it's a realistic painting we're going for. So here we want to keep there. I've got another nice bit there coming down. Get the rest of this, boom, make something hit and move. I'm not copying the reference exactly, but I'm got a bit of an idea from it. Because this water's just falling over the rocks and into the water. A minimum glare here, just so it'll make up sense when it's come across here. Okay, now am I happy with that waterfall? I feel I am. Now I'm going to go from this brush. I still want to keep this brush, but I want to go to a flat as well to get where it's meeting the lake below. So grab yourself a manageable flat brush, and what I want to do is pretty much all the way along the bottom here where that water's hitting the waterfall, I want to dance this across like this. Can go less there, but it's still there. I want a lot where this splash, that's a real lot there, so it's going to sort of ban out here. Agitation in the water. Scallop it out and then continue along here. Get some of this joining up into it with this brush. Now once you've done that bit, you need to scallop it away from there, so you've got like bits of water coming away from that, just like so, but you want the main glare at the base of the rock. This is dirty white, it's not pure white, it might look like white to you. Now this is important, we need these scallops look at the reference to where the scallopy, glary bits of water are and put them into your painting. And this is what makes your water look quite real. See this? This is not white. Some of this can go over your rocks. And this is simply making your water look more fathomable.
What did you use the word fathomable for, Ian?
It sounds waterish, doesn't it? Fathoms of the ocean, fathoms, I don't know, just use it. Leave me alone, little buddy.
I'm liking this, Ian. You're doing well. You're not the best, but you're doing well.
Well, thank you, little buddy. So this is just the wind hitting the water, this stuff here, these scallopy things. I'm going to turn the camera off and finish scalloping this wind on top of our water there, okay? Now we've finished that colour. Now we're going to pick up the pure white. I'll get it over here so I can reach it, and just gingerly highlight that water. So I'm looking at the reference again, and I want a lot of white froth in here. Nice and lightly does it. I'm going to go back to that flat brush as well to get the finer lines that I feel I want, because I want this water look like it's flushing down there, this part here. It's really splashing and flushing, see? And the white is just making it look like that. Look at that thrashing around. That's thick, heavy, powerful water right here. We've got some of it bouncing around there, coming down here. See, I don't know if you can notice there's a pool there and a pool there, because I'm trying to create a top of that rock then coming down instead of it just one flat. And we can use the flat for that later. I don't want it too violent at the end there, because it's just falling into the water with a degree of power. It's not overly powered. So what I'm going to do now is pick up the flat brush that I was using before and control some of these over here now, so get an idea on the reference where the brighter water is. It's pretty much there. Scratching it over that powder blue colour. Don't worry about putting this in your reflection there. You don't want to overdo that. I feel you don't want to anyway. And this bit here we danced along. Probably get this a bit more whiter. Where those pools were, we can have some water veining out of those. Veining down there. See, and it's so easy to make a beautiful, realistic waterfall, I feel. Okay, I'm going to autograph this nice and tiny if I can in this corner here. And be sure to look at the links in the description below. Share, like and subscribe. Become a member of my Patreon platform and become a member of my YouTube community. Hit the join tab below and receive your perks. There we go. I can't whack a frame on this because my frame simply doesn't fit, but it's a big 19.5 by 17 inch painting there. It's a bit more worthy. It's got more detail in it. Beautiful sky, lovely mossy mountains there with a nice waterfall. We've got our stones looking real. We could probably put some more darkness in here, but if you're going from beginner and transforming into an advanced beginner, that's something you can do, and I know you can do it. Well, I hope you learnt something in that. I had a lot of fun painting this. It took me a lot longer than normal, but it's not about the speed, it's about the end product. Be sure to tell your friends if you like what I'm doing, but if you don't like what I'm doing, you tell everybody. Goodbye, good luck, and good on you.